Good Tuesday afternoon from the House Chamber here in Atlanta. I'm Thomas Worthy, Director of Governmental Affairs. Today is March 25th, and the 2014 regular session of the Georgia General Assembly adjourned sine die last Thursday at midnight on March 20th. I'm pleased to give you this legislative wrap-up of all the bar's legislative agenda as well as other legal-related legislation. First and foremost, we're very pleased with the budget that was passed by both chambers and sent to the governor's desk last Tuesday. In that budget, it included the bar's request for additional funding for legal representation of victims of domestic violence. The increase is that of $386,000, half of the bar's original request. We will go back next year and make the request for the remainder. HB 654, the bar's testamentary guardianship bill, did not make it out of Senate rules in time for a floor vote, but Representative Wendell Willard attached that bill onto a bill here on the floor of the House, and that bill secured passage and now is on the governor's desk awaiting signature. So the State Bar's testamentary guardianship bill did in fact see passage this year. SB 364 and SB 365, the two bills that include Governor Deal's third phase of his justice reform and reinvestment initiatives, overwhelmingly passed both chambers. In other news, SB 209, the bill that provides immunity for entities that supply legal self-help documents and services, was tabled on March 6th, and it remained on the table, so that bill did not see passage in the waning hours of the session last Thursday. HB 643, the e-discovery bill, failed on the Senate floor. HB 889, the bar's unauthorized practice of law bill, and HB 685, the Uniform Deployed Parents Custody and Visitation Act, both did not pass this year, but the bar will continue to work with the sponsors, the Office of Legislative Counsel, and the appropriate sections within the bar to perfect that language so that we can have those pre-filed before session begins next year. Thank you so much for tuning into these updates throughout the session. Please do continue to check in on the bar's website as we will continue to update the legislative agenda and the grassroots program. And on that note, here's Zach Johnson to give you a grassroots update.
Well, thank you, Thomas, and good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us on this 2014 legislative session wrap-up. My name is Zach Johnson, and I'm the grassroots coordinator for the State Bar of Georgia. You know, they say time flies when you're having fun, and this must have been one heck of a session because it's the quickest I can think of in the 4 to 5 years I've been up here. But to me, that speaks volumes about what we were able to do from a grassroots and a legislative perspective in this very condensed short session. In, 10 short weeks, 40-day legislative calendar, we had 15 groups from all across the state come up here for lobby days, almost 200 attorneys. They were able to speak to the representatives in the House, their senators in the Senate. They're able to see how the process works, and it speaks volumes to the commitment, to the dedication of the State Bar of Georgia's membership. You know, I'm lucky enough to travel around the state speaking to your bar meetings, speaking to your lunches, to your breakfasts. And I'll tell you something, you're a very unique, special, talented group of people. There's advocacy groups all over this state. But as far as I'm concerned, there's no one more talented and no one more readily available to really take action and take part in the legislative process like the members of the State Bar of Georgia. And on behalf of the grassroots program, on behalf of the State Bar, I want to thank you for your hard work and for your dedication for this 2014 legislative session. It was a difficult session from the bar's point of view. We had a lot of big items on the agenda, but there's no doubt in my mind that the advocacy and the effort that you all showed throughout the past 10 weeks has been a giant force in helping us pass our agenda and helping us stop at a legislation that we were against. In that light, moving forward throughout the spring, throughout the summer, the heavy lifting and the work is not done, but in fact it's just yet starting. As I said in our past video, one of the most readily available times to speak to legislators is when they're up for re-election, because in my view, they're going to be more susceptible and more open to your points of view as lawyers, as members of the bar, and also as citizens, because when they're running for office, they're running for office. They're open to your ideas because they want to get reelected. And so in that sense, now is the time to engage them. Now is the time to ask them to coffee, to call them up, to send them an email. Now is the time to write an op-ed to the paper, to write a letter to the editor, to make your point of view on whatever it is across the broad spectrum known, because now is the time it's going to be that much more effective. And if we plant that seed now, if we plant that grassroots seed now, it's going to show fruition for the years to come, because obviously they're reelected this year for a 2-year term. So I'd very much encourage you now until the May 20th primary, and even in November, the general election, to get engaged with your legislators. Talk to candidates that are running for office. It's a wide swath of people that are involved in the legislative process from the election side. And I'd encourage you to reach out to them, reach out to newspapers, reach out to radio stations, television stations, anything you see fit to get engaged in that process. A good tool, if getting engaged in that process is somewhat abstract to you or somewhat intimidating, we have all the resources and tools available to you on the State Bar's website. There's kind of a grassroots advocacy toolkit. If you go to the State Bar's website and click on the Join Our Grassroots Team icon, you can fill that little form out that comes to me, and I'll send you everything you need to know in terms of how to do outreach, how to do advocacy. I would also love to have you take a look at your calendars if you're involved in your local bar association, or if you're a local bar association president. Take a look at your calendars moving forward in April, May, and June, to where me and Mr. Thomas Worthy can come speak to your local bar meeting. There's no area of the state that's too far or too close. We'd love to come wherever you are, speak to your meeting, give you a legislative update on what we did this session, get your ideas about things you want us to work on going forward to the 2015 legislative session, give you a grassroots update, give you a grassroots toolkit, how you can get engaged in your local community, and just to keep you more involved and more engaged in the State Bar's legislative agenda. So with that being said, thank you again for a wonderful 2014 legislative session. I look forward to working with you throughout the spring, throughout the summer, throughout the fall. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing you in 2015 legislative session. Thank you very much.